I have the great pleasure now of interviewing Jane Bunnett. Uh, can I tell you one thing I love about you, Jane?
I'm so technical.
I think it's on.
Hello. Oh, yeah, it is.
You are so unassuming. You know, if I bumped into you at the Loblaws, I would never know that
That's not good.
you could
I
play
look so
like
bad in public.
No, 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 no. But you're so Canadian. But then you put the horn in your mouth. You put the horn in your mouth, and out comes this incredible soul of Cuba. And not that you only play Latin
I was a
music.
draft dodger, actually.
You were a draft dodger. Jane's mother, is this true? Where's Jane's mother?
No, it's not true.
But you've put together an incredible evening tonight. We're so privileged because this is the only time this is ever going to happen.
You told me next year we could do 4 pianos.
Yeah,
That was the deal.
we'll bring Long Long and we'll have him play the fourth piano.
That was the deal. He did.
But tell me about you've been going to Cuba since 1982. Mm-hmm. You've probably been there more than anybody alive that's not Cuban. What's the difference now when you go back? Because you go back every year, a couple times. How has Cuba changed, and how has the music scene changed there?
Well, that's an interesting question. There's probably more musicians than ever, because the abundance is just incredible. In terms of, well, we don't know. I have to say, in terms of the legends, what the future will be, I don't think. I mean, we're incredibly fortunate to have a pianist of Guillermo Rubalcaba's status. I just don't know when that generation of musicians are gone, if there'll be that era. You know, it's a very, very special era, and it ties into the theaters and the art, and so I think I'm going to probably miss that. I don't know if I'm really answering this. This is a very tricky question to say because it is political, and I don't want to go in that direction, because Cuba has lost a lot of their musicians because of just the necessity of needing to work and perform. And it's a wonderful country in terms of people being able to play, but in terms of, for a jazz artist, if you want to develop as a jazz artist, it's totally necessary to travel the world and see what's happening, because jazz is now a world music. You need to see what's happening in other places in the world and sort of see how you match up, and that, I think, is a disadvantage that Cuba has right now, which I don't feel great about. But at the same time, it has this incredible education system in terms of music. It is a priority in Cuba that if a student wants to get a musical education, they will get one, and they will get a great one, and they will get hours and hours of practice time in and focus, on developing. Same with their dancers, same with their whole arts department, literature. The whole arts is very thriving.
One thing we always know about Cuban musicians is they're so technically sound. Mm-hmm. They can play anything from Ravel to Debussy to the latest salsa to reggaeton.
Yeah, well-rounded.
They can play everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that today. And you mentioned Guillermo. Many of you know that Guillermo Rubalcaba's son, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, is probably one of the finest Cuban pianists, not living in Cuba anymore, living in Miami, I believe. Yeah. Very, very classically trained, mm-hmm. as is Chucho Valdez,
mm-hmm.
and
all
Valdez.
His kids are all musicians too.
And we're seeing the embodiment of that here. Tell us about Changuito and when you first encountered him in Los Van Van.
Well, boy, that's really special. That was in 1990 I first heard Los Van Van. I'd actually come back from Cuba in 1982 with Los Van Van Records. And but in 1990 I was there to perform at the jazz festival with Don Pullen. And it was one of the last great jazz festivals there, Carmen McRae was there, Dizzy Gillespie, of course, Chico Freeman, and I said Dizzy, somebody else really great was there. I'm just drawing a blank. And we went outside the festival one night to hear one of the groups playing in the big central squares, and it was two groups. It was Los Band Band and Son 14, and there was thousands and thousands of people in this big outdoor park, and Los Band Band was playing, and it was absolutely unbelievable. And of course that night, you know, Changuillo was one of the main drivers and locomotion behind the machinery behind Los Band Band for like 30 years. So that was the first time. I'd never experienced such a massive, throbbing, dancing crowd of people. Just everybody. It was really something, you know, for like a young lady to see.
Yeah, little girl from Toronto, fresh out of the Loblaws, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was very eye-opening.
We have an incredible bass player who you know, they're always in the background. We don't really get to know too much about them. But when Danilo Perez was here about a month ago, you were at the show, and John Patitucci, who's one of the finest bass players playing right now, heard that Changuito was at Lula Lounge and that Roberto Rivarcon was his bass player, and he said, "Oh my God, we've got to get there.
That's right.
This guy is a monster."
Yeah.
So we all went to Lula's.
That was so
By
nice.
the way, go to Lula Lounge. Great
It's
club
a great
that does
club,
Latin music all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he's got an interesting story of coming to Toronto and playing all sorts of musicians.
Well, both Roberto Riberon and Papiosco, the conga player, were in the great group Cubanissimo, which is one of the wonderful groups led by trumpet player Jesus Alemani, who resides sort of part-time in Cuba and part-time in England. And he was the backbone, number one, of that group for quite a while. But Riberon is had the same sort of working schedule as Hilario Duran did for years in Cuba, where he was like the main studio fella. And he's just on thousands and thousands of recordings that you'd pick up in the airport. He would be the bass player.
We should have charged more for tickets tonight.
He probably, well, you know, I won't go there.
Well, we're going to get back to the music. I know you're very much involved with education, with student groups. You've done all sorts of stuff in Toronto. Keep the music coming to Toronto. Keep all these incredible musicians coming to Toronto. I will tell you that tomorrow, you can tell us where it is. There's a little after something happening
Thanks
tomorrow.
a lot. Well, thank you. But before I tell them about that, I want to say, in front of all these people, how thrilled that I am that you are here and you are in Philly. Philly's loss is Toronto's gain, and that also that we just have this just stellar, intimate theater that Toronto has needed forever and ever and ever, and it is the best, and the best staff. It's just, it feels like family working here. I really mean it, and everybody who plays here wants to get back, so we're all clawing for the next gig.
Well, before you give your plug, I'll give my plug. Is that on Wednesday, we're going to announce next season's whole schedule of classical, jazz, world music, etc. So we did Latin music this year. We're not doing Latin music next year, although there was a little bit of Latin thrown in there. But we're going to concentrate on a singular person and do a 5-concert series dedicated to a singular person. And on Wednesday, you'll find out who that is. So I can't tell you now.
I almost went, I almost blew it. Yes. So thank you for giving me this moment. There was many people who didn't was able to get a ticket for the show, and my answering machine shows that because it's just a mess. But we are doing a concert at 345 Sororan Avenue Gallery Studio, and there's 3 wonderful, beautiful pianos, and it's all the same band. And Mervyn thinks I'm totally crazy for announcing it here because for Edward Epstein, it's his place, and it's probably going to be insane. But there's a couple of coffee shops on the street.
It's tomorrow, what time?
It's tomorrow at 2
o'clock.
till 5.
2 till 5
going to be a lot of
tomorrow.
fun.
You can hear the same thing again.
For any of your friends that couldn't come, we're going to be doing this and a lot more, and just having a good goodbye party to everybody too.
We're going to get back to the music. Thanks, Jane.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Give us 1 minute and we'll be right back.